Hello there, I'm Jimmy Vegas and this is how to create a Wolfenstein 3D FPS clone in Unity, and welcome to episode 16. So this tutorial we're going to take a look at further developing the AI of our enemy so we shoot at intervals, not constantly. We'll add in some sound effects as well, and we'll also start looking at a health script. Don't forget, click the subscribe button and click the bell icon as well to stay up to date with every tutorial still to come in this series, and indeed everything else on my channel about game development. With that in mind, let's get to work. So, we've got our AI working a little bit better than what we originally had now, and this guy is going to start firing at us, but he's constantly firing at the moment. We need to have that set at intervals, just so it's not like fire, 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 fire. So, what we have to do to begin with is let's go to the animation for firing, which is down here, fire pistol, and make sure we untick loop time. So that means that the animation will only play once, it won't continually loop. Next, what we have to do is go to the script, which has our enemy, which is the soldier AI. And we're going to use a coroutine. We've used a coroutine before, if you remember. It was on the door itself. I think I have the script here. So the door, we had the coroutine here, which was the AI enumerator. We're going to use the same kind of principle for this, except we'll need to modify the soldier AI script a bit, add a couple of variables, as well as change how the animation resets. So firstly, let's add in an extra variable, which is going to be for the gunshot sound. So public and fire, in fact, sorry, audio source. I'm getting ahead of myself there. And we'll call this fire sound, semicolon. The next one we'll have as a bool, so public bool, we'll call it is firing, and by default we'll have that as false, semicolon. Next thing we're going to do is write that coroutine. So I enumerator, and you can call this anything you want. Obviously, probably best if you make it relative to what we're creating here. So let's call it enemy fire, open close bracket, open curly bracket. Now we're going to transfer some lines of code that we already have in our update method down here to the coroutine, and that is these bits here. Take both those lines of code, cut them, and paste them down here. What this means we'll have to do now is inside this if statement, we're going to have to say start coroutine, and in brackets the name of that coroutine we've just created. So enemy fire, open close bracket, semicolon. Now what we're going to have to do is we're going to say, yes, we've started the coroutine, yes, we've fired our pistol, yes, we're looking at player. However, before we even get to that, we need to say is firing equals true, semicolon. But that also means that we're going to have to change this if statement right here. The reason we're going to have to change it is because currently we'll just be able to constantly start the coroutine and it will just go a bit crazy. So we're going to have to say if hit tag is equal to player, and we use the double ampersand there, so and is firing equals false. So what that's saying is if we're looking at the player, which we will be if it says player, and firing is equal to false, then we start coroutine. And the first thing that coroutine will do is say is firing equals true, just so this if statement can't re-trigger itself, which is exactly what we need. However, we also need to change this else statement as well, because this else statement will kind of make the enemy glitch out a little bit, because it'll be constantly trying to play these two animations at the same time. The reason being is because we're saying if the tag is player and is firing is false, do this, else do something else. Now as soon as we set that to true, that else statement is going to start working because this bit is not true. This bit will be true, but we're saying we want both to be true. So we need to change the else to say instead if hit tag is not equal to player. So not equal is exclamation mark and equals, and then in quotes player. So now those if statements should work perfectly. So let's move back to our coroutine, and we're saying enemy fire. Yep, that's all good and well, but let's play that sound that we want. So we called it fire sound dot play. Open close bracket, semicolon. So we've done that. We've fired our pistol. Now we need to say that we want to wait. So yield, return, new, and then how long you want to wait. So I'm going to wait for maybe a second between each shot. You can wait longer if you want to, and I guess you could always refer to this as a variable. In fact, let's set that as a variable if we ever need to change it at any point. So public float, and we'll have fire rate, and by default I'm going to make that equal to 1.5. So F, obviously, because it's a float. So we're going to say return new, wait for seconds, and in brackets fire rate, close bracket, semicolon. After that, what we're going to say is we need to set is firing equals false again, semicolon, and save. So we're going to come back to this script in just a moment, but what we're going to do first is head back to Unity and set up that audio source. So let's head to our soldier, right click, and let's go to create empty, and let's rename this to fire sound, and let's place the same pistol shot that we have for our gun on his. You don't necessarily have to. You could use a different one if you wanted to. It's perfectly up to you. So let's add that to fire sound, untick play on awake. I'm going to change this now to a full 3D sound. The reason I'm doing that is because we don't want to be, say, all the way over here and we can hear the fire sound. We only want to be able to hear it as we get a little bit closer. So we can change the 3D sound settings down here. Now, I do have a couple of tutorials on using this. The basics of it is saying if we go to something like linear roll-off, we can change the minimum distance we can hear it and the maximum distance we can hear it. In this case, I'm going to set the max distance to 20, and we can see that this blue circle is the maximum distance we'll be able to hear that pistol shot. Obviously, the closer we are to the epicenter, which is here, the louder it's going to be. So just keep that in mind when working with something like this. Let's set to 30. Set to anything you want, really. But this line here represents the player, which is the listener, i.e. we're listening for that sound. And it's going to sound quite low here. We'll still hear it. And if we were here, it'd be quite louder. So you'll be able to hear that as we go through. Now, I'm going to go back to the enemy AI, and I'm going to attach that fire sound onto the variable. I'm going to save the project. So as we play this now, we're going to have we're going to be able to hear the gunshots, but the animation will play just once. But we should be able to gauge how well this is working. So far so good. There's no gunshot sounds. There we go. So he's firing. There we go. So it plays once, but not again. So we've got the sound working. That's fine. What we need to do is reset that animation like I mentioned earlier. Now, to reset the animation, what we're going to do is take that right there, that line of code, and place it above the actual animation right there. So it's the same line of code. However, to reset it, when we have play, after that, but before the bracket, we put comma, -1, comma, 0. Now what this will do is it will basically just reset it, because we're saying basically go back to the start. That's all we're doing. So now the animation has reset, and then we can play it again with no problem. So resave your script, head back into Unity, and press play, and let's check this out. So the animation should work perfectly. Excellent. Perfect. All in time as well. So then obviously you can change the fire rate. You could have it as 1 second if you wanted to. So if I change it to 1 second, head back. If you set it the same way as me, you might need to change it here. You could also change it real time if you wanted to. So you can see how that's going. Let's change it to 0.5. 2. Excellent. Back to 1. There we go. So, like I said, you can use that to your advantage. So, next what we're going to do is, because we're going to start looking at dealing damage and taking damage in the next tutorial, let's prepare ourselves now and create a health script. So, let's go to scripts and let's go to, in fact, let's create a new folder. And let's have this as stats folder. So anything based around stats in one way or another, probably contain in here. So create C# script, global health. Now, I am going to basically display this on our UI. So while I am here, I'm going to go to our canvas, if I can find it. There it is, canvas. And I'm going to go to the UI panel. And currently we have that as it is. So remember, we've worked with the ammo. We know how we can display this. And the same principle is going to apply with the health. So I'm going to put that next to the ammo. So let's take that ammo panel, hold Control, press D, duplicate. Let's bring it this way, place it there, I guess. Rename to health panel. And in here, ammo label, let's change this to health. In fact, yeah. I was hoping the caps would look a little bit better, but they don't. So health. That should do the trick. It looks okay. Again, it's all dependent on the font. So by default, I'm going to have this value set as... In fact, I'll set it as 100, just so we can see this working. So heading back to our script, we need to say at the very top, using Unity engine.ui, semicolon. We can get rid of the annotations and void start. And let's declare the variable, which is going to be that text. So public game object health display semicolon. The next one is going to be public static and int, and we'll say health value. And I always like to have an internal version just in case. So public int internal health semicolon. It just allows us to see it in the inspector panel. So in void update, we're going to say internal health equals health value semicolon, and then we're going to say health display, because we're going to get it showing on our screen, dot get component, spiky brackets, text, open close bracket, dot text equals, and double quote, just to give it a text value, and we will say health value semicolon and save. Let's head back into Unity, and I'm sure we have where is it, ammo, which one is it that has our script on? So global ammo is in the ammo container object, so I'm going to hold Control, press D, and I'll call this health container object. I think we might tidy up our hierarchy at some point. It's getting a little bit messy. So I'm going to drag and drop the global health onto there, and I'm going to add in the health value and onto our variable there. So I'm just going to rename them. So that's going to be renamed to health value and health label, which means finally we drag and drop the health value onto there, remove the global ammo script, so this object only contains the global health script, and let's press play. And it's decided it's not going to update because we haven't set a value, which is perfectly fine. So let's go ahead and set that now. Equals. In fact, I won't do it there. I'll actually do it in void start for now. So void start, open close bracket, open curly bracket, doesn't need to be private. And we'll say health value equals 100, semicolon. Also, I'm thinking, if I remember correctly, it's down as a percentage. So what I'm going to do is health, I just kind of remember that now. It's after health value, I'm going to say plus, and then percentage sign in quotes, and resave. And this should finally all come together. There we go. I'm happy with that. So, next tutorial, like I said earlier, you can shoot him but nothing happens. So we're going to start looking at that. We'll look at dealing damage and taking damage. So until that next tutorial, guys, I'll put the script that we've just written on the website if you need it for any reason. Head over there, download an asset, and you can download it, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Thank you very much for watching.